What's up, everybody? Ryan here, back with some more Royale, and today I have a special video. It is a tier list of what I think are the best and the worst cards in the game, and this tier list will list down from the S tier, which would be the best cards, down to the D tier, which would be the worst cards in my opinion. This deck is definitely an opinion and definitely isn't 100% fact, so if you do disagree with it, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to say these cards are 100% the best or the worst, but this is just my opinion on it. So jumping into this list, we have the S tier, and the way I pick the S tier, an S tier card must be absolutely overpowered. It must be broken and must work with pretty much any deck and have not many or if any weaknesses, none. But so the only card I have in this would be Demonologist, and I think we can all say Demonologist is the shaman from last season. Demonologist is everywhere. It's broken. It's annoying. It gives mana. It is a win condition in itself, and it really doesn't have many weaknesses. Demonologist can now no longer be killed by Hex, and I think that just makes it absolutely broken. So if you can make it to wave 3 with Demonologist and you spam the merges whenever Bannerlord spawns, there's really no deck in the game that can survive, and that's why I have Demonologist as the only S tier card in the game. So now we'll be jumping down to the A tier, and to make the A tier cut, in my opinion, I think the cards must work well with multiple decks, must make up majority of the meta itself, and these cards work very well together. So starting off this list, we have Boreas. Boreas is, in my opinion, the best DPS card in the game. Boreas is strong with Dryad, it's strong with Hex, which is another extremely high A tier card, and I just think Boreas works well in most situations. And that's why I have Boreas in the A tier. Next, we have Demon Hunter. I really think Demon Hunter only works in co-op. I don't know of any PvP decks that it works in. And if I made a separate deck or a separate tier list just for co-op, I would say Demonologist is probably an S tier. But I'm just going to keep him in the A tier, or her in the A tier for now. And if you guys have any deck suggestions with Demon Hunter, let me know. I don't know of any in PvP at the moment. Next, we have Dryad. Dryad is a menace. She works well with pretty much any deck. Throw her in combination with a Harlequin and a Summoner deck, and she pretty much can make any deck meta. She works very well with Inquisitor, very well with Boreas. She worked well with Engineer when Engineer was meta, and I just think Dryad is an A tier card, if not an S tier. Next, we have Harlequin. Harlequin would be an S tier card if it was not for the nerfs. So if you're new to the channel or if you haven't played this game very often, the Harlequin just got nerfed, and they made it where when she clones a tower or monster card, whatever you want to call it, whenever she clones it, it now has 35% reduced damage, and that was huge, especially for cards like Inquisitor, because Inquisitor really works well when you have 7 or 10 of them, and now, if you use Harlequin to get the 7 or 10, they're going to do 35% reduced damage, and I think that hurts Inquisitor a lot. But the nerf is what takes Harlequin out of the S tier, and we're going to throw her into the A tier. Next, we have Hex. Hex is probably the best buff card in the game. If you don't know what Hex does, any card that is adjacent to it will have a chance to insta-kill the monsters, not including mini bosses or bosses. So Hex is really good. It works extremely well with Inquisitor, works extremely well with Boreas, and I think that's what makes it an A tier card. So next we have Inquisitor. Inquisitor only falls behind Boreas because of the Harlequin nerfs, in my opinion. I don't think Boreas or Inquisitor can beat most Boreas decks. If you play the Cold Mage Inquisitor deck, it's obviously a really good deck still. Would be probably one of the top 3 or top 4 decks in the game at the moment, but I just don't think Inquisitor is an S tier. I think it stays in the A tier. It's a medium to high tier A tier card, and I really do like the card. Next, we have Night Statue. I almost put Night Statue in the B tier. The only reason I didn't is because Night Statue brings some of the non-meta cards up into to be able to play with meta cards. So what I mean by that is Blade Dancer, for instance. Blade Dancer is not a very good card, or it's okay, but it's not an A tier card, which I actually don't have Blade Dancer on this list, unfortunately. Sorry about that. I would probably put Blade Dancer in a B tier, but Night Statue makes it where a Blade Dancer deck can actually compete with meta decks. So to me, that would make Night Statue an A tier in certain situations. It works with some Crystal Mancer decks, and it's actually really good in co-op as well. So that's why I have Night Statue as an A tier. Next, we have Summoner. Summoner could be arguably a S tier. an S tier support card, but I didn't put it in the S tier. I don't think it's overpowered enough for S tier. So we're gonna put it in the A tier. It works extremely well with Harlequin, and it works extremely well with Mime. Put all three of those cards in one deck, and you have a meta deck right there. So next we're going to jump into the B tier. I'm not going to go through every card in the B tier, C tier, and D tier, but I'm going to go over some of the ones that I think are important. So the first one being Shaman. Shaman last season was definitely an S tier card. It was overpowered, annoying. You saw it everywhere, and they did nerf it. They nerfed the projectile speed, so now it's a lot easier to dodge. I just don't think that... I don't see it enough to be scared of it anymore. I don't think it's overpowered. It's easy to dodge now, and I just don't think it's worthy of even being an A tier. Now, that's definitely controversial. I think it could be an A tier, it could be a B tier, but to me, I'm putting it into the B tier. Next, we have Corsair and Stasis. So both of these cards are pretty much the same reasons. I have them in the B tier. They're not seen often. They're only used in a couple of decks. Corsair is usually only stacked with Executioner, and then Stasis is usually only stacked with Inquisitor, so there's not too many decks it can work in, and that's why I have it in the B tier. Next, we have, we're going to go with the Bombardier and the Alchemist. Hold on, my dog barked. Sorry about that. Anyway, we have Bombardier and Alchemist. Bombardier is a really good card. I really do like the card, but you only have 5 cards in a deck, and there's other cards that work better. You can throw some support cards in rather than having a Bombardier, and it's probably going to work better. You can swap Bombardier with a Hex. It's probably going to work better. I don't think it's strong enough to be in the A or the S tier. It does work in co-op very well, and in a co-op deck, I would definitely say it's probably an A tier, but for this list, we're going to put it in the B tier. And then we're going to go with Alchemist. Alchemist does a whole lot of damage. It's really strong. I think it sits firmly in the B tier. I don't think it deserves to be A tier. I don't think it deserves to be anything over S tier. I don't think it needs to be a C tier. I think it's strong. It works in a lot of decks, but I don't really see it being anywhere but B tier. So we'll scroll down to these C tier cards. As you can see, not really many of these C tiers are too strong. Meteor and Thunderer together used to be one of the strongest decks in the game, if not the strongest deck, and the nerfs from Meteor, now Meteor only does a ton of damage if it crits. When you get to wave 3, there's Banner Lord, it stops crits, and Meteor without crit now is pretty much useless. It used to insta-kill any monster it hit, so it used to be overpowered. It would have been an S tier card, but currently it sits at a C tier. I think it needs some love. It needs to have something done to it, or Banner Lord needs something done to it, but I don't think it deserves to be anywhere but C tier. And then for Thunderer, Thunderer only works with like one deck. I did post a Hex Thunderer deck that works. It's not really because Thunderer is good. It's really just because Thunderer has the Chain Lightning and Hex is strong. And that's why I think Thunderer just deserves a C tier. Not really anything else in the C tier I want to talk about. You can see these cards are pretty much, they're either underplayed or they only work in a couple of decks. Looking at the D tier cards, holy crud, I can't talk. Looking at these D tier cards, you can tell that not really any of them are useful. Grindstone used to be really strong. It used to be really good, but the Bannerlord, adding Bannerlord into the game pretty much made it useless. You can't crit on Bannerlord, and that's all Grindstone does. It gives you crit. So pretty much useless card. And the rest of these are just extremely weak cards. They need something done to them if they're going to be meta ever. I don't see them being meta ever other than maybe Grindstone again. But yeah, that pretty much sums up this tier list, guys. I hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, hit that like, hit that sub button. It really does mean a lot to me. If there's anything you would change in this tier list, please let me know below. This did take a lot of time to make. I did work pretty hard on it, so show me some love there. Anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you in game.